Good afternoon. This is Bernadette Davis representing J Group 3 International here in Jacksonville, Florida. Today I want to take out a few minutes to talk to you about specifically a type of giving that I like to specialize in as a life insurance agent. And to present this idea to some, most people may have heard about it. It is also referred to as gift-giving endowments or benevolence endowments given to a particular charity or even a local ministry. It's very near and dear to my heart. It's something I really believe in. I've become very passionate about because I has been experienced in the insurance industry for more than 25 years. I've got an opportunity to see that life insurance also have living benefits available to it. Not only does it works for those who want to supplement retirement income or build financial security for their families by utilizing a certain type of product, but you can also take advantage of opportunity to be a donor or a gifter in charity or charitable gift giving. Okay. The opportunity that I'm taking today is to kind of like educate. Again, my endeavor or mission with J Group 3 International is to educate, re-educate, and help create wealth, and also to help those understand that life insurance is a wonderful product, a wonderful opportunity to be able to build wealth for whatever reason you want to build it for. Today I want to focus on charitable gift giving, and here this is an area where I want to draw attention to those of us that are leaders or pastors in our local churches. This is not, I'm not going to utilize this platform to throw rocks or offend or say things that's hard or meant to say anything bad or discredit anybody. But I find that we as leaders in our churches, particularly that have been around for many, many years, find that sometimes people don't understand that they have other ways that they can give, and if they're not enlightened about those giving opportunities, then they don't know. And sometimes we fall back on the same type of opportunities that we've been using for years, the same formulas to raise funds for our churches, selling the food and selling little items and things like that. And again, it's nothing, if that's what you do and it works for you, that's fine. But my endeavor is to bring another way to bring in funds for the church. Now, it works a little different, and it takes it on a different platform. You can't be afraid to find out the information. You'll find out that it might work. Here again, this is not an overnight fix on shortages of finances. And again, I will take a little time to explain why I want to share this with our local community, is because as a citizen that go to church and regular, and my family, my life is built around going to church, and I spend a lot of time in the church, and the church has been a good place for me. When I've had needs, I went to my local church and I was able to get some help. And I say some help in this sense. Most of the times when family is going through something, oftentimes, their local community or the local church do not have the funds available to help them in the way that they could. So some people wind up having to utilize what we've been seeing now become more common, is GoFund requests sent out on social media websites. And it works, and then again, it doesn't work. Unfortunately, I have been in places personally where I have had to go and reach out to my church where I was at, and some time ago in the past, and in other areas, in other states, in other phases of my life, and find out that when I went to those churches to get the help that I needed, I couldn't find it, was not able to get it because the benevolence was not as generously built as it should have been. In other words, it was never really enough. I remember going through a particular situation and circumstance where I only needed one night to stay off the street. I was going through a very hard time, rough time in my life, and I just wanted to stay off the street that night and the hotel then was only like $60 for the night, and that wasn't in the shabby side of town. It wasn't in, your little rundown motels. You understand? But it was just to keep me off the street for the night until the next morning when I could do and take care of some business that I need to because of the circumstance situation I was placed in. And I went to this church and I asked for that $60, and for whatever reason they told me they didn't have it. Now, I had been a giver in that church for years before I ran into that financial dilemma and into that trouble. Had also been as a tither, and when I needed that help, $60, I was not able to get it. Now, for whatever reason, it could have been that they really didn't want to give it to me. They didn't want to help me. Some people feel that in a divorce situation, or the wife is estranged, she needs to deal with whatever it is that she's going back to or coming from or running away from, and just go back home. But I needed to get out, and I needed a place to stay, and they were not willing to help me. Now, the reasons were that this was told to me, that they did not have the money. Okay, all right, I'm just going to leave it right there. It's a sad place for any local church to be where a need arises and they can't help for anything under $100 because the benevolence fund is not there. Well, ever since that time, I became very passionate about trying to understand and find ways, creative ways, to make sure that the benevolence funds in our local churches have enough to meet the needs of our community and those that are members in that church, and not have to be turned out or turned away or referred to an outside agency. And we will not name names of those agencies that tend to have more help for those, particularly housing, money for down payments, money for rent, money for deposits and things like that, and to help people, come up out of their situation financially, instead of being able to reach right there. One of the questions that when I went to this outside agency to get assistance, one of the questions came up to me. The director asked me, well, did you go to your local church first? Were they not able to help? I was ashamed because I had been a member of that church for many, many years, and I couldn't rightfully say that I was able to get the help that I needed. So I had to tell them no. Yes, sir, I did go, and they just didn't have it. Well, that's not good. That's not a good thing. So I after that event, the Lord blessed me and brought me out of that circumstance situation. And as part of my profession in life insurance, I took out the time to learn when I heard about that there was this opportunity they called charitable gift giving, or endowments, that churches or nonprofit organizations can take advantage of to ensure that there are funds available to meet the needs of the community, number one. And then whatever other needs that the church may have, building funds or repairs or whatever, so the membership in general, the laity, won't be so heavily tasked or overburdened financially. And then people that are not overburdened tend to give more. Well, the Bible says God loves a cheerful giver, and it also admonishes not to give out of necessity or grudgingly. Well, I will say this, that if I'm going to church and I know that I only have a certain amount of funds that's available to me, and if that's rent, that's rent. And I have made the mistake in giving rent away and literally faced an eviction because of that. When God never tells us to give out of our necessity like that. We were mistaught. And again, just trying to make sure that I give. And then, another circumstance situation occurred, and now I'm standing in the line and I'm being pulled on the tug or compelled to give, and in my heart I'm going, this is not good, or I don't want to give, or I'm feeling bad about it. And God says, I don't want you to come to the offering table to offer me anything from that kind of heart. If it comes from necessity, take care of your business first. Do not take your rent money, your light bill money, and try to give what you don't have. God says to give out of the increase. He knows your heart. He's going to bless you if you give what you can give out of your necessity that's not created a hardship, then God will multiply that and give it back to you. And we know sometimes in life, when God sets that stage, it's going to be some situations and times where you're going to endure that lack, or your season of lack. It's a season. It doesn't come to stay. It will change. And in those times, God teaches us how to be better stewards of what he gives us, and utilize what we have, and then watch him multiply that what you don't have, and trust him for the rest. And those are those kinds of times. But when the time comes for you to be able to give, and you have now an increase, you can give off the increase. You can tithe even off the increase. Matter of fact, you're supposed to tithe off the increase. So again, after having endured financial hardship for many, many years, especially learning from other people's mistakes, or listening to bad information, and taking bad advice, I said, you know what, there must be a better way to do this. And so when I find out that our churches don't have to struggle financially in areas where God has already provided a method and a way for the church to have the kinds of funds it needs, so that it's not relying on the general offerings of everybody, when sometimes those may be scanty funds, or may not be any at all. There is a way. God always has a way. So in doing that, these wonderful people that sit up and make these plans and come up with these ideas on how to build wealth and how to create finances, when we understood that then you can utilize a life insurance policy to make sure that your church has the funds that it needs to do what it needs to do to carry on the work in the community, to be the help that God intended for the church to be financially to those that are in need, to utilize those funds not to ride fancy cars or pay big salaries to the pastors or the leaders, but to provide housing and to provide necessities for things for those that are not fortunate at that moment, or need help, or in between, or in transition in life, particularly women with children. And in the circumstance where I was a newly separated divorcee, it was a hard time. And that's when you go to the church, you expect the church to be able to help you, not turn you away because they don't have anything. Okay, now that's the reason we can't get into why, but I will say most of the time we just don't do better because we don't know any better. I came to one pastor and I was sharing this information with him, and he just simply said to me, you know what, I wish I would have knew about this, but just, I wasn't educated about it, and my people, they didn't know anything about it. And so, sometimes we just don't know. But I will tell you this, the opportunity is now to start to do things differently, to educate and find out what's out there. And so here I am today. I want to share this information. It's very simple. Basically, it's called charitable gifting or endowments, and some of you probably heard about it. And how it works is this: you have a donor or someone in your church, or some people in your church that, and again, this is for people that don't necessarily have to have disposable income, but they have already established themselves financially. They're probably older. Their average age is going to be anywhere between 45 to 65, maybe 70 years old. Their children are grown, or they have been established in their jobs for a while, or they have something they've already set in place their financial plans for the family when their time comes. And this is that type of person you want to deal with. Also, the type of person that makes a great donor is a person that's been in your church, and I'm dealing with the church specifically. They've been in your church for years. They have raised their grandkids there. Their mother was there. Their grandpapa was there. Their great-great-great-granddaddy was there. In other words, people that have been members in the church, that have been in the community for 50 to 100 years. Those kinds of places where you want to be. Okay, even if you're not that church, and your church is not that old, you're just getting started. Great place. Start now. We don't know where our time is. We don't know how long we have on the earth. God may give us another 25 years. We may not have. Okay, and you got people that are able, and they have a desire to give more, and they're not able to give more, but they can in this way. Okay, you will see, and most people don't understand that when you utilize opportunity like this, is you don't have to wait for the person to be deceased in order for the church to benefit from the cash values, because it also creates a living benefit. Okay, what's going on is this: over time, these people have designated and donated a portion of their life insurance plan, and it works better that a person would have a single policy designated for this particular reason, that they don't utilize a policy that's been set aside for their family security when they pass. This would be something more like a final expense plan would be, or a plan that's specifically designated for gifting. It's going to be a whole life plan, or it's going to be a universal. You can use a index universal, which is a greater product to use because the cash values build a little faster and a little bit more aggressively. Okay. Within these policies, of course, anybody understanding whole life and insurance and universal life policies, there's a cash value accumulation account that is built in the policy. So over time, those cash values build and accumulate, and they can be accessed by way of a loan, or let it grow and then take it out and utilize it to make more money, or down payment or gift or whatever it's going to be. Okay. The person is still alive, but they're able to use those cash values in those plans, right? So you've heard of people that had a life insurance policy in place, and it was a cash value life insurance policy, and they wanted to buy a home, or they needed to make a purchase, or they needed to repair a roof or whatever, and they needed some emergency money, whatever, and didn't really want to go into their 401k plans or touch their retirement plans, but they had a life insurance plan in place that had been there for years. So they borrowed the money from the life insurance policy. Some of you may be familiar with that, some of you may not. You're still alive. You hadn't died, but you were able to access that money. That's called a living benefit. Okay? So now, a person that has one of those type of policies will simply designate that policy, the proceeds, make the charity or the church that is a legit 501c3 organization, has to pass government regulations as a nonprofit organization or a charity, or, and in this instance, a church. And you can literally use the church, name the church as the primary beneficiary of that policy. You would also be the one to give an assigned right to the church, or the director, or whatever, the opportunity or the ability to access those cash values in your stead in case you already passed or you are still alive. If you're still alive, you can actually manage that at your discretion. Once you pass, the church receives that whole amount. Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing that you can be able to leave a gift like that to the church that was there for you and your family when you had a need, be it spiritual or natural? Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing to be able to leave a gift of a significant amount, sometimes even more than you possibly could have given all your life? You can leave a lump sum to the church of your choice, a church that means that to you, they're there for your family. They showed you love, they provided for you, they took care of you, they even helped bury some of your family members, and you didn't have the money and they came to your rescue, whatever. And you just they're beautiful people in God, and they did something so much for you, took care of you, and you want to give back to them. You want to give something significant, even to the point where if you didn't have a grand funeral arranged, you can have a gift given to that church, and naturally they're probably going to go ahead and take care and make sure that you have a great send-off for your family. Or if the family came in and have a need and you made the church the beneficiary and the family didn't have enough money, now the church is not having to go into financial distress trying to help your family do what you should have done anyway. So again, this is a beautiful thing. It works. So what you simply do is contact your general agent, your life insurance agent. If you don't have one and you live in the state of Florida, I'll be glad to help you. Contact them and say, listen, I would like to leave a gift like that to my church. It can be any amount. Okay. We tend to think that we have to be wealthy and rich, particularly us of a certain culture. We do not have to be wealthy or rich to leave a gift in that manner to your church. There are some people in other cultures that their churches are well endowed. Family after family after family have left great gifts for that church to carry on and and stay alive and stay built up and stay fresh and keep all the repairs done, sometimes even having to build a new building if the building is old and dilapidated. The money was there. The church didn't have to go into debt. Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if churches would start off and, yes, never have a mortgage, or have a mortgage that they can very easily pay off, and stay away from mortgages so that they can utilize the money to have to better the community, to do other things besides pay a mortgage. I know that would be a blessing to quite a few churches. I know that it'll take some of the burden and the weight off of our pastors in these churches. So again, if you don't understand, I'll be glad to come and do a seminar. I make myself available to do that. Seminars are free. We get real detail into the information. I can only give you so much here without taking too much time to do it. And sit down and share with your people, your congregation. Tell them, look, you can make a difference in your church's financial future without breaking even your own bank. Some of you say, okay, Bernadette, this sounds good, but I have to take an extra policy out. That means more money. I mean, I can afford it. Okay, fine. If you already have a policy in place, then simply rearrange the amounts of money that you're going to have given to your family, provided that your business is taken care of first. If you have anything over $50,000 in a life insurance plan, okay, you can go back and adjust. The gift don't have to be super large. It's the thought that counts. Sometimes in a church, it's only a matter of thousands of dollars, maybe $500 may make the difference in the church's budget on a regular basis, or a gift that come in at the right time. Now, for those of you that actually have to do, homegoing services for those that are members or even family members that are not necessarily a member of that church, and you go out the way and the family don't have the funds, and the church wind up having to take care of it for them, and so it's stripping the funds out of the benevolence, if you had one, or out of the general offerings, and it's creating a hardship financially for the church. We can solve some of this. Okay? I'm not telling you start counting heads that's dying, but I am telling you this. If you have a dedicated membership, and they are there, and they are coming, and they are being fed, and they are being blessed, to ask them to be a blessing to the church, not your pocketbook now, to the church, when the Lord decides to take them home and their time has come, so that they can not only provide assistance financially for the church, but just in case the family have a need, and financially the family can't afford it. So instead of the church being in a financial dilemma after trying to help the family that didn't have the money to give a decent funeral to their family member or their loved one, the church don't have to suffer that way. So can you imagine if you had families that were there and they've been there for years, and you got 20 families that made endowments like this, and God forbid, it's not a matter if, but it is a matter of when somebody passes, and they were the ones that made an endowment to your church, at least once a year, your church could have a gift given to at least $2,000 on a minimum to $25,000 or $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Maybe somebody felt really benevolent and wanted to make sure, and God just touched their heart, and they left an endowment of $100,000 for your church when the Lord takes them home. Wouldn't that bless your church? Wouldn't that be a wonderful, wonderful way to continue to work? $100,000. How could it make a difference in your church's budget if somebody did that? So we don't have to sit around and waiting for people to hit the lottery to come in and throw down a big tithe check. We can do things that are conducive to reality, and I say that because all of us came here to die. We just don't know when. If there was 10 families that made an endowment, and they all made an endowment of $25,000 apiece, at some point in time when the Lord calls them home, their church would be blessed with a $25,000 gift. If there was an unfortunate circumstance situation where 10 or 15 people did have a death in their family, and your church, your congregation, you had 10 to 15 families that actually lost a loved one, not to be capitalizing on, like I said, counting heads, but this is a gift. You had that many people that the Lord called home, but they left a blessing to you so that you can carry on the work. Certainly that's what they would want you to do, carry on the work, be a blessing to others, to continue to help others. 10 to 20 families that endow at $10 to $20,000 a piece. That's a nice piece of money to keep your budget alive. As stated, if only one person that had an endowment went home to be with God and they left you $25,000, how would that change your budget? How could that affect your budget? What else could you do? How many other bills can you pay? What can you catch up on? What project can you complete with $25,000 extra in one giving, in one gift, without having to overtask or overburden or go after many fundraising opportunities that either work or they don't work, or you only break even, or you spend more than you should trying to get the thing to work, and when it's all said and done, you only racked in about $10 to $15 over what you were trying to get. So it's not saying that it was in vain, but okay, well, you didn't reach your goal. Let's just be real. Sometimes we have to tweak it to make it work. Sometimes we need to update how we're doing things. This is one of those opportunities. So again, I come to you as a professional, also as a member of a church that would love to see the church's benevolence fund be where it needs to be so that it meets the needs of the community financially. When those kinds of things are set in place, it also provides a backdrop or a foundation for the church to also operate as a banking institute. It can have a credit union. The church can have its own bank. I helped establish an idea with another ministry I went to in Georgia, and I brought that idea to them using financial instruments to build a bank, to open a bank in the church. Now, there are ways you have to do that. There are laws you have to go through to do that, and there's ways it had to be done, but it can be done. People, God intended for us to dominate in every area. I talk about kingdom dominion, especially in the finances, especially. God did not make us to be the tail. We're supposed to be the head. Well, all the information, all the knowledge, how is it that the world can do these kinds of things? And we as the body of Christ is lost or losing or on the back end, on the last end of everything, and not walking in the prosperity or walking in the blessing that God gave us to walk in. When he gave us dominion and authority, that was one of the areas. To be fruitful, to multiply, replenish, and subdue, and have dominion. Those are those 5 tenets is the foundation of kingdom dominionship. We have to know this. And this is an area where we've suffered too many years and too long in our churches financially. We don't have to go through like this. We don't have to. And then when people come in, they're bringing their gifts on a regular. Does not say it takes the place of your regular offering and people paying their tithe. This is an addition. This is a great foundation builder. During the course of the year, let's say you had several endowments like this in place, and the church needed an extra $5,000. Well, those owners of those policies can come together and say, okay, we can go and take out a small loan out of this policy for $1,000. You just met your need, and nobody had to die. Okay? So I want you to come communicate with me. I want you to talk to me. This is easy. This is easier than what most people think. I would be glad to come and sit down with your congregation and you and talk about how this can work for you, and talk about how we can become the head financially. Jesus is not coming back for a hope down church that's defeated and walking in defeat. We have to be the head, and in money answers all things, the Bible says. We absolutely have to be the head financially in order to do the things that we've been called to do. I see too many churches open and close because they can't meet the needs, not only of the community, but they can't even do it can't even get the lights on in the church. That's bad. And we don't have to do that. We just need to learn how to do it a different way or do better. And I'm here to help. Please reach out to me. Again, I'm Bernadette Davis. I want you to go and visit my website, www.bernadettedavis.net, and you can click on charitable gift endowments or in gifting, and you'll be able to get all the information in detail, how this works, the history of this, how this works. This is nothing new. It's been around for many years. Some of us just didn't know about it. Millions of Americans make donations of cash and property to the charities of their choice each year. Why not have our local membership being able to have donors in our church that's sitting there that are able to give in a better way or bigger way, so that the church can go on, the church can roll on. It can be the head and not the tail. Look at my website, get the information, do your own initial investigation, go and do some research on charitable gift giving and see how it works. If you're not satisfied or you want more information, again, you can reach out to me via Facebook when you see this video, either YouTube channel or whatever is on. It's probably going to be on Facebook, any social media, and reach out to me, and I'll be glad to assist you and give you more information about how this works. God bless you. Be blessed. I hope this is to help you. I intend to be the servant of God, to bring the ideas and to bring the opportunities to God's people, to be the head in the finances and not the tail, especially in the church. Be blessed. I will see you soon. Have a great week. Bye-bye.